Good evening and welcome. I'm Doris Polo and this is the weekend news here on CNC3. Thanks for joining us. Two close friends known for rarely being apart tragically died together in a road accident in Bacalet, Tobago this morning. 47-year-old Keon Nimblet of Signal Hill and Chaka Rivers were on their way to work when the crash occurred. Both men were employees of REM Elite Construction and were heading to a job site in Pembroke. Police say Nimblet was driving east along the Claude Noel Highway shortly after 10 a.m. when he reportedly swerved to avoid colliding with another vehicle. The car then hit a traffic sign and a tree. Both men died on impact. The crash left relatives, friends and co-workers in shock and disbelief. Assemblyman Nigel Tate, a close cousin of Chaka Rivers, was visibly shaken by the tragedy, describing both men as hardworking and constructive members of the community.
They were good men, they were good men, good men, they were good men. They were very good, helpful men around the area too, you know. I can't see nothing bad about the both of them.
Their employer, Rondell Morris, said he was also shaken by the loss, noting he had known both men for more than a decade and that they had been working with him for the past 4 years. He said he had spoken with them moments before the crash.
I just stay strong, especially for the family and them. I can't really show no signs of weakness, but yeah, still shake up because I actually came off the phone like half an hour before with them, making sure they're getting materials and things to go up on the job site.
He also described them as positive young men, saying their friendship was inspiring. Meanwhile, head of traffic in Tobago, Carba Vincent, is again urging motorists to slow down, noting that the island's roads leave little room for error. He believes speed may have been a factor in the crash. The appeal comes just a day after two men, Marquis Figaro and Tariq James, were killed in a separate accident along the southern main road in St. Margaret's. A San Fernando community is disputing a police account of a fatal shooting, insisting that 45-year-old Shivnath Jogi was unjustifiably killed inside his home. Officers said they responded to a report of a chopping and found Jogi armed with a cutlass and a hammer when they arrived at his home along Railway Line Road. They claimed he advanced towards them, forcing them to open fire. But residents say the situation unfolded differently and believe the encounter could have been de-escalated.
When I go into the washroom, they realize that he by himself. So the next guy run down with the cutlass. I don't know what take place. When I came out of the washroom, I come down the road. My friend here tell me, boy, I know chop Jaja there. The man come down in my yard here with a cutlass and scramble me and jack me up and thing. And me and he scramble and thing I end up chopping me in the head.
Witnesses said minutes later rather, police arrived at Jogi's home but claimed there was no clear identification before the shooting. One resident believes Jogi may have mistaken the officers for men involved in an earlier dispute. Relatives claim he was killed before he could properly react. Now the incident has since reignited calls for body cameras.
When the police come by the door, banging on the door. He open the door. When he open the door, the police and give him chance to think because he's still thinking as the people coming to attack him again. When he open the door, the police shot him one time.
Residents say video evidence could have clarified the conflicting accounts, but instead they are left questioning their safety in encounters with police. Meanwhile, the police service says it is awaiting further updates on the incident. A 4-year-old boy is safe tonight after a frightening kidnapping and vehicle theft incident in Sangre Grande. Police say around 3 p.m. on Saturday, a 51-year-old man reported that his white Nissan Navara had been stolen along Guayco-Tamana Road with his young son still inside. Investigators say the suspect, who is known to the child's father, allegedly drove off with the vehicle and the child. A swift police response led officers to the stolen vehicle a short time later at a nearby location where the child was found unharmed inside. A 40-year-old suspect has since been arrested in connection with the incident. The child was taken for medical examination and was found to be in good health. As questions continue to swirl over former Prime Minister Stuart Young's meeting with Venezuela's acting president Delcy Rodriguez, the People's National Movement has confirmed that Young only informed the party that he would be out of the country. PNM Chairman Marvin Gonzalez told CNC3 News Young disclosed he would be overseas. However, Gonzalez declined to say whether the party was aware of the nature of the trip or that any meeting with Rodriguez was planned. Young posted a photo to social media last week shaking hands with Rodriguez. The meeting was sharply criticized by Energy Minister Dr. Rudal Munilal, who claimed that Young's visit was an attempt to undermine the government. Young's encounter with Rodriguez comes as government is working to pursue cross-border energy arrangements with Venezuela. Numerous attempts to contact Young for more details on his meeting have been futile. Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar is condemning the shooting scare at the White House Correspondents' Dinner in Washington. Chaos erupted Saturday night after gunfire rang out at the Washington Hilton while U.S. President Donald Trump and top officials were attending the event. Secret Service agents rushed President Trump, First Lady Melania Trump, and Vice President J.D. Vance from the venue as guests took cover. One officer was injured and a suspect was taken into custody. In a social media post, Persad-Bissessar said she was relieved the U.S. president and other guests were unharmed. She praised the Secret Service for its swift response, wished the injured officer a full recovery, and condemned what she described as another attack targeting President Trump. It's time now for a break. We'll be right back.
Shop this month end at Food Basket, Marketplace, Arima, Chaguanas, Champlain, and Goville. With a purchase of $500 and over, you get to choose a free case of Chubby, a bale of toilet paper, 2 cases of water, or 3 5-liter liquid detergent. Yes, you can get to choose an item for free with purchases of $500 and over. Don't miss it, happening this month end at Food Basket Marketplace in Arima, Chaguanas, Champlain, and Goville. Food Basket Marketplace, where shopping is a pleasure and the price is right.
KC Ginger Mint, your trusted and natural wellness. Now with more healthier options. KC Ginger Mint with honey and lime, KC Ginger Mint with orange, and KC Ginger Mint with lemon. KC Ginger, honey, lemon, lime, and orange. Natural and trusted for generations for soothing sore throats, aid digestion, and boost immunity. Get your new KC Candy Ginger Mint Extended Range today and breathe naturally.
Struggling with blood sugar swings, high blood pressure, or stiff joints? Take control with Aja Nutrition's powerful wellness trio. Berberine Plus supports healthy blood sugar. Blood pressure support helps keep your pressure in check. And Joint Aid keeps your joints moving so you can stay active every day. Don't wait. Choose Aja Nutrition for trusted, effective solutions. Available at Pennywise and leading pharmacies nationwide. Feel better, move better, live better with Aja Nutrition.
Plumbing problems? Don't guess. Call Plumbing Solutions at 628-4646. Proud to be serving Trinidad and Tobago for over 20 years. We do it all. Maintenance and repairs, new construction, sewer lines, inspection, drain cleaning, leak detection. We are licensed and insured, so call Plumbing Solutions at 628-4646.
Welcome back. PNM Tobago officials are reporting a strong voter turnout in today's internal elections, an encouraging sign for party leaders as they push to rebuild and regroup from the ground up. Both leadership candidates say they are optimistic about the party's future. Our Tobago correspondent Stephen Nicholas has more in this report.
PNM supporters came out in their numbers today to elect a new Tobago Council executive. From as early as 8 a.m. when polls opened, members began streaming into the 9 polling stations across the island. Team Unity leader Kelvin Morris cast his ballot just after 10 a.m. at Bishop's High School. He said the long lines were a good sign for the party, but complained of some irregularities.
It can be a bit of an inconvenience waiting so long. I have tried to make contact with the supervisor to at least ask him to consider adding additional polling booths so that it would allow more people to vote at the same time. You know, there's some teaching issues, some errors in spelling, you know, some persons not finding their names on the list.
At the Lowlands multipurpose facility, there was a trickle of morning voters which picked up after lunch. Ex-MP Shamfa Kujo-Lewis, who is challenging Morris for political leader, said ballot books ran out at Plymouth Anglican Primary School polling station.
This is not about one person or about personalities. This is about our duty to rebuild our party. So if PNMites from all corners, from all walks, from all factions come out to vote, no matter who wins tonight, the party wins.
Party stalwart Umilta Ingrid Roberts said the PNM roots run deep, and she's hoping the results of the election bring stability to the party.
Well, I hope we're heading in the right direction. I really hope so, that this would, you know, bring some kind of guidance and stability and everything else.
Both leadership candidates urge members to rally behind whoever wins for the benefit of the PNM. Stefan Nicholas, CNC3 News.
With polls closed, let's go now to our Tobago correspondent for the latest on results. Stefan, what can you tell us?
I'm at the PNM Tobago Council headquarters in Scarborough right now, just about 1 hour after the polling stations closed in the party's internal elections. Just a few supporters are here right now waiting to see who will be named as the next political leader of the party. It's a straight race between former Minority Leader Kelvin Morris and ex-Tobago West MP Shamfa Kujo. Both of them are going to be in the same predicament as outgoing leader Ansel Dennis, who led the party for 4 years despite not being an elected assemblyman. The party was trounced 15-0 in the last CHA elections. Now, both are still very confident they can spearhead a rebuild of the party. And that confidence has been buoyed further by what has been described as a high turnout of voters today. So high, we've heard reports that the Plymouth Anglican Primary School polling station ran out of ballot papers twice today. There have also been certain discrepancies announced, such as names missing from the list, as well as misspelled names. Shamfa Kujo has also said she wrote the council twice because she was not pleased with the voters' list accuracy. All the ballot boxes will be counted right here at the PNM headquarters. Stay tuned. I'll be covering the elections till the last ballot is counted. Stefan Nicholas, CNC3 News, Scarborough.
Thanks, Stefan. Now, as we continue our coverage ahead of the first anniversary of the government's 2025 election victory, tonight we hear from UNC supporters on what they want to see prioritized in year 2. At yesterday's UNC annual Congress and report to the nation, we asked the party faithful for their wish list, as the government pledged that better days are ahead. Akasamaru has more.
With their party in power for the last 12 months, UNC supporters believe things are heading in the right direction.
So far, everything looking promising. We still have more time and things to see what we see and thing.
But as their political leader and prime minister sought to assure them that better days are coming, her supporters, who came in the cold, pouring rain to see her and her government, are hoping that those brighter days are centered on 2 areas they believe should be given urgent attention:
crime and more jobs.
La Hockita Talpara resident Kamala Kasi is happy for the removal of tax from private pensions, and with a promise yet again from the Prime Minister that those who were laid off from the CPEP and URP programs will have more sustainable jobs, Kasi is hoping that is a second-year priority.
More opportunities for those who were laid off, like under the CPEP program and others. More opportunities for them.
Giovanni Bain, meanwhile, believes more jobs in year 2 could address 2 issues at once.
Once employment, once our situation, so primary gonna cut in half, but at least I know that for sure.
Hemwati Deonarine says she's thrilled that Form 1 students nationwide received a laptop as promised by the UNC, and she too is looking forward to those promised better days.
Well, we want to look at some food prices. We want to look at some more jobs. We want to see if we could get an ease up of the crimes, because crime is escalated. That is our main subject right now. And I think we're going to have a better country.
From the podium, the Prime Minister pledged 13 new mobile police posts. And on the ground, Marsha Granado is hoping for a safer TNT in the second year.
At least the citizens of Trinidad will be able to be more comfortable. You know, they can go out and, you know, they don't have to study about the robbery and the killing or the senseless killing. And
better days are coming. Brighter days are coming.
Akash Samaru, CNC3 News.
Following the Prime Minister's address to the nation, marking her government's first day in office today, we asked, are you comforted by her assurance that brighter days lie ahead?
Yes, I'm optimistic, simply because we can't stay in a negative state forever. So when you're down, the only other way to go is up.
I also know, because I'm 24 years of age, so I'm seeing the transition from governments, and so far we're just seeing the same excuses for different policies.
We are hopeful for that because everything does take time. So we are hopeful that with the changes that are coming, although it seems like going down, that it is probably for the betterment of the country.
I'll always be optimistic, but I think change needs to start with each and every one of us.
Well, they always say tomorrow is another day and a brighter day, so we look forward to better things tomorrow.
I think they're off to a bumpy start. I'll be playing, right? But new blood, new perspective, new ideas, challenging new old things will always produce some measure of a positive energy.
A fire at the computer server room of the National Academy for the Performing Arts was quickly brought under control with no injuries or major damage reported. In a statement, NAPA said fire officers responded to the report around 8:44 a.m. The blaze originated in the server room and affected a server console on the northern side of the building. Officials say firefighters extinguished the blaze using 3 dry powder extinguishers with no water required. Initial assessments suggest the fire was electrical in nature, and investigators say there is no evidence of foul play. Investigations are continuing. Now, it was a night of nostalgia and celebration as 95.1 FM, the ultimate one, marked 50 years on the air. Past and present announcers, staff and managers gathered at Woodford Cafe in Chaguanas to reflect on the station's journey. Stories of music, memories and moments shared with listeners across Trinidad and Tobago filled the room. For many, the milestone is less about longevity and more about the relationships built through decades of broadcasting. And for Head of Commercial Content and Marketing, Tova Satnarayan White, it is those connections that define the brand.
I'm pretty sure that when you think of the music of 9/5, you all could go back a little bit and know that it took you through young love, heartbreak, happily ever after. That's 9/5. I am here tonight and I could share this with you, with my parents. My parents are Generation 9/5. And I grew up with my dad and his siblings teaching us how to rock out to the music of 9/5.
That connection continues each morning, where the station's voices help listeners start their day with energy and conversation. Morning Reset co-host DJ Danny says that bond with audiences is what keeps her going despite the early hours.
I will say, what does 9/5 mean to me specifically? Well, it's my creative license to chase every rabbit hole and, really connect with the listeners, from conspiracy theories to life lessons. Connecting in the morning is what really makes this worth being sleep deprived for. I will say it's also made me not lime during the week.
As 95.1 FM celebrates 50 years, the focus remains on evolving with the times while holding on to its identity. A legacy built on music, memory, and connection continues to resonate across generations. Let's tell you what's still to come in sport. The Trinidad and Tobago Red Force returned to action against the Leeward Islands Hurricanes, eager to make up for lost time after their earlier clash was abandoned.
Dress like you mean business. At The Working Woman, we bring you stylish, professional looks made for the modern woman. From casual to formal workwear, we've got your professional wardrobe covered.
Looking for a completely natural way to supplement your family's diet? Only BioStrath gives your body more than 60 of the essential nutrients it needs every day in a product that's 100% natural, so it's more easily absorbed. For stronger immunity, enhanced focus, increased energy and stamina, and faster recovery. BioStrath, get what you need naturally.
Welcome back. Pedaling off tonight's sport action, Trinidad and Tobago's sprint cycling star Nicholas Paul delivered another strong performance on the international stage, capturing a silver medal in the men's match sprint at the UCI Track World Cup in Malaysia. Rajiv Surat Singh has more.
Harry Lavrayson, widely regarded as one of the world's top sprint cyclists, proved just too strong on the day, defeating Paul in 2 straight rides to secure gold. The result marked the second consecutive showdown between the 2 riders following their clash in the men's keirin just a day earlier. On that occasion, it was Malaysia's own Awang who thrilled the home crowd with a dramatic victory, edging both Paul and Lavrayson in a breathtaking photo finish. Paul claimed the bronze in that event. Lavrayson's form, however, remained clinical throughout the rounds. The reigning world sprint champion brushed aside Italy's Mattia Perdomo and then Kurlitsev in straight rides to set up yet another high-stakes final against Paul. In the end, Lavrayson's experience and raw speed proved decisive, but Paul's silver medal stands as another significant achievement for Trinidad and Tobago cycling, highlighting his consistency among the world's elite sprinters. Elsewhere, it was a challenging outing for fellow Trinidad and Tobago cyclist Makaira Wallace, who did not advance in the women's keirin. Wallace finished 5th in her qualifying heat and was unable to progress, continuing a difficult transition into the senior ranks despite earlier success at the junior level. Rajiv Surat Singh, CNC3 Sport.
To cricket now, Trinidad and Tobago Red Force closed day 1 of their 3rd game against Leeward Islands at a healthy 237 for 3, having been sent in. There was an immediate setback when Evan Lewis was hit by a throw and had to retire hurt. Unfazed, Jid Gooley and Jason Mohammed took the attack to the Islanders, Gooley scoring 36, laced with 7 fours and a 6. When he and then Mohammed, who made 47, departed, Amir Jangu teamed up with skipper Joshua De Silva, and they saw the force to close at 247 for no further loss. The unbroken 132-run partnership was established with a minimum of fuss, each batsman registering 8 boundaries. De Silva was unbeaten on 72 and Jangu on 69. O'Shane Thomas was the leading wicket taker with 2 scalps. Staying with cricket, Nicholas Pooran found himself at the center of a dramatic finish in Lucknow's Super Giants IPL 2026 clash against Kolkata Knight Riders. With a match tied at 155, Pooran was backed for the super over despite his recent struggles. But it didn't pay off. Pooran was dismissed for a first ball duck by Sunil Narain, triggering a collapse for LSG. KKR chased it down easily, sealing the win. It was a tough moment for Pooran, highlighting his dip in form as pressure mounts on the LSG camp. To the beach as TNT's pair of Darian Sparks and Josie Sedano battled to a hard-fought victory over the United States Virgin Islands, placing them in line to play in the 9th to 12th semifinals of the Norsica Under-18 Beach Volleyball World Championships qualifiers in the Dominican Republic. The TNT combination was hard-pressed to win after they were beaten in straight sets by Nicaragua and the home team on the opening day on Friday. However, their return to the court yesterday paid dividends. With an increased desire for success, the pair in Pool C against Chikai Pogson and Zayden Turner moved out in front early as they eked out a 21-16 triumph. The second set did not come without a test, but the TNT pair battled to the victory, 21-19, for their first win of the tournament. Despite their triumph, the men in red, white, and black missed out on a quarterfinal spot, one of 2 third-place finishers due to the third-best points ratio behind Guatemala and Barbados. Trinidad and Tobago boxer Nigel Paul is considering retirement after being left off the government's latest list of funded athletes. The Ministry of Sport recently announced financial support for several athletes, including Tiana Guy, the country's top female boxer. However, Paul revealed he has not received any funding for the past 2 years, despite prior approval for elite athlete support. The 36-year-old Olympian and Caribbean heavyweight champion, who has earned bronze medals at the Pan American Games, CAC Games, and World Championships, expressed frustration over the situation. He says he has been waiting on funding since 2015 and has fully committed his life to representing Trinidad and Tobago. Paul described the situation as disrespectful and admits he is seriously considering his future in the sport. It's time now for another break. Stay with us. Former Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro remains at the center of a high-profile case in the United States. In a new development, U.S. authorities have agreed to allow the Venezuelan government to help pay for his legal defense despite ongoing sanctions. According to federal prosecutors, the U.S. Treasury has amended its license to permit those payments under strict conditions, using funds available after March 5th. Maduro and his wife, who also faces charges, have both pleaded not guilty. The case continues in New York and is being closely watched across the region. Security is being ramped up across the United States ahead of a major royal visit following a shooting at the White House Correspondents' Dinner on Saturday night. U.S. and UK teams are now coordinating closely as King Charles and Queen Camilla prepare to arrive on Monday. The 4-day visit will include a rare address to a joint meeting of Congress, only the second by a British monarch. The royal couple is also expected to meet with Donald Trump and First Lady Melania Trump, with scheduled stops in New York and Virginia. Officials say the visit will highlight the long-standing ties between the U.S. and the UK, despite heightened security concerns. And now for a look at tomorrow's weather forecast. The Met Office says hot and sunny conditions will be interrupted by partly cloudy spells with isolated showers. Nighttime will be mostly fair and cool despite isolated showers, and in the event of heavy showers or thunderstorms, gusty winds are likely and street or flash flooding may occur in areas so prone. A hazardous seas alert will come into effect at 11 p.m. All marine interests are advised to exercise caution. Tomorrow's maximum forecast temperature in Trinidad is 33 degrees, while Tobago will experience a high of 31 degrees Celsius. Thanks so much for joining and staying with us for the weekend news here on CNC3. I'm Doris Polo. As always, on behalf of the rest of the team, have a great night and a wonderful week ahead.
You're watching CNC3.
Tonight,
when UNC wins, Trinbago wins.
The UNC political party marks 1 year since being elected in the 2025 general elections, returning to government led by Kamla Persad-Bissessar. In that time, the country has faced pressing questions on crime, the economy, governance, and international relations. Has this administration delivered when it comes to direction as well as stability, or are the challenges deeper than we expect? Over the next half hour, we'll sit down with 3 political analysts who have been watching the UNC progress over the last year, and we'll ask the definitive central question: 1 year on, what grade does the government deserve? On this special big interview program, I have with me in studio political analyst Dr. Indira Rampersad, who has been following the UNC's trajectory over the last year, as well as economist Mariano Brown, both of them with me here in studio, and joining me from New York City, political analyst and pollster Dr. Vishnu Bisram. Lady, gentlemen, welcome to the program. Happy to have you all for this auspicious occasion. 1 year on, Dr. Rampersad, what have you made of the last 12 months of a UNC government?
Well, there are many ways to analyze performance of a government after a year. So there's the individual level, so where you look at the leader or the leaders. There's a state level where you look at their performance in government. And then there is the systemic level where you look at their foreign policy, more or less. So I think that it is 1 year, and there's a lot in the pipeline that they hope to achieve but have not yet achieved. But I think in a short time a lot has been done. And, we can go into the different aspects of what have been done. We look at trade union settlement in some respects, not all of them. We look at legislation to deal with crime, for example, stand your ground legislation. We look at education, some strides in education with the Couva Hospital and the DB campus, which is now being refurbished. So there are some strides in health also and education. So I think if I had to give them a rating, I would give them an 8 for what has been implemented in the short term and what they hope to achieve in the medium and long term as we go along.
I want to bring in Mr. Brown on that point of the trade unions. Did that 10% promise, campaign promise, the marquee promise of the UNC campaign, did it come back to haunt Kamla Persad-Bissessar in a very real way?
Well, I don't know they've paid it. I know they've agreed it. So I don't know where we are with that. I don't even know if the teachers' changes in their normative salaries have been adjusted upwards either, whether they've been paid or not. So you have agreed settlements, but it is not clear that payments in accordance with the settlements are being made. And for example, they won't budget it at all. All right, and the Minister of Finance agreed and said that in his budget speech. He didn't budget for the NIS changes. He didn't budget for the PSA increase. He certainly didn't budget for the NGFW 10% either. So that's, if you put the two of them together, you're talking about just about $6 billion. That is not part of the budget speech. I'm sorry, not included in the budget speech. And therefore, since it's not included in the estimates, has it been paid? And if it's not been paid, well, it's a statement. You've come to a nominal agreement. The real agreements are not in position. And where I sit, from where I stand, I don't judge you on the basis of what you said you're going to do. I said judge you on the basis of whether it has been paid or not.
Dr. Rampersad gives a rating of 8 out of 10.
I wouldn't be so generous. I wouldn't be so generous. Not on the basis of the economic situation. We haven't adjusted. Nothing has been done in the foreign exchange. The governor has been very clear that has nothing to do with the issue of allocation. So from a political perspective, that's in the dump. You really have to deal with the economics of it. There's nothing that has changed that. There's no policy change that could be pointed to. And literally, we're back to where we were in June of 2024 in the affidavit by Mr. Imbert, which outlined all the negative difficulties that he was facing. And I don't think those have changed at all. It would have been a little bit optimistic, to put it mildly, to expect that all of those economic issues would have been dealt with on assumption of office. But if you had to measure performance and say that these are the variables that you want to impact, you want to look at inflation, you want to look at unemployment, you want to look at economic growth, has that changed? And the answer to that is no. You're looking at the same effective date, which means that you're looking at when Manatee comes on stream, that you expect to have some change in the economy.
2027.
Same policy as the PNM.
Let's go back to when the government would have been sworn in. Dr. Rampersad, do you feel that Kamla Persad-Bissessar got her ministerial picks correct? We can talk about Homeland Security. That would have been different from national security. The Attorney General, she opted for John Jeremy. She had several lawyers in her portfolio, in her deck of cards. Did she get those picks right, do you feel?
Okay, so now we're going to the state. Did they perform as they should have been? Well, they have been claiming that they did, so-and-so. Homeland Security, the minister's been working very, very hard. I know that there are a number of projects to deal with crime. Mr. Brown, a lot of these, you can't, for example, those energy initiatives can't be done in a year. The opening a refinery cannot be done in a year as well. They're still trying to get funding and they're still trying to get bidders and whatnot for that project. But, they've reached out to the UE, for example, with an initiative. They're dealing with Department of Behavioral Sciences, dealing with the child psychology. We've had number of forums. We're coming up with recommendations. I'm part of the project. We're coming up with recommendations to deal with crime. And, we also have to look at the external dimension, which I think she's been trying to address. This is the drug trade, the trade in arms and ammunition. So I think we do have to give them credit for trying. The Minister of Homeland Security has been on the ground. The Commissioner of Police I think it's a good pick. I think he's a good pick, but that's not the government's pick. Keep that in mind. He's appointed by the president. And the ministers so far, for the most part, I think they have been trying. We haven't had, as in the earlier dispensation in 2010, some of those scandals that had erupted, from 2010 to 2015. We had a number of ministers even being asked to resign or being fired. We haven't had those scandals to see, and they've hit the ground. I think Khadija Amin has been on the ground. We've had some flooding problems. She's been there. They are visible for the most part. Not all of them we don't see because their portfolios are probably not visible ones, but we've certainly seen local government, Homeland Security on the ground, Minister of Finance. To some extent, they've, we hear the pensioners are happy in as much as they're getting their pensions faster. I think that would fall under the Ministry, Social Development Ministry, Vandana Mohip. And now we hear a new announcement about the taxation for private pensions being removed, pensions and annuities, and that I think is also a populist measure.
I want to bring in Dr. Vishnu Bisram with us. Dr. Bisram, over the last year, the Prime Minister has hit international and regional headlines a number of times, not least because of CARICOM, but also her stance with the United States on Venezuela. What have you made of Kamla Persad-Bissessa's leadership in her first year?
The public seemed to be very supportive of her policy with regards to the United States, especially on regional matters. Had she not taken that position to support the United States, we very well would have had the cancellation of visas of Trinidadian and Tobagonian nationals, simply because if you look at what's happening in the other islands, the other CARICOM members, several visas were revoked, and it's been revealed up until a few days ago that there are plans to revoke more visas of CARICOM nationals. So in that regards, the Prime Minister is right to secure and save the visas of Trinidad and Tobago nationals. The other aspect of the relationship is the financial support the United States has been offering over the last several months. I believe there has been approval for almost $2 billion in loans and as well as in investments. So that also has worked quite well. And a couple of weeks ago, the president of Guyana visited Trinidad and Tobago to work out some aspects of economic collaboration, if not certainly in oil, a refinery, and other aspects of improving trade relations. Now, here in the United States, where I am based, the diaspora is very, very supportive of several aspects of the relationship, especially as it relates to the United States. The diaspora wants a closer collaboration between whatever government is in Trinidad and Tobago and the United States, so that they are not affected in living in the United States and in their family relationship with Trinidad and Tobago.
Thank you, Dr. Bisram, for that. But Dr. Rampersad, has the Prime Minister's relationship with Donald Trump worked in her favor?
Well, we will only know it with an election. if there's an election and there's fallback, there's a local election coming up. We saw in Tobago that Farley won. The PNM.
Despite the Tobago radar issue.
Right, and the PNM played that on the platform. And I always say foreign policy, Ryan, foreign policy, they've done numerous surveys in international relations, and foreign policy always comes last as an impact factor. But, you know, look, the whole CARICOM thing. She raised an issue with CARICOM. We all know CARICOM have problems, the way they do things. We saw the way in which, the manner in which a Secretary General was going to be renewed. Right? We don't know what was her performance, what would the criteria be and used to renew. For example, that's one. We political analysts, international relations specialists, been writing for eons about the problems in CARICOM. And then we hear now that she's set to step down. That's Carla Barnett, Secretary General. Whether that is going to happen or not, I don't know. But the point is, if she does, it is all because Prasad Bisesa raised an issue of concern, a procedural issue, and maybe there are also substantive issues with regard to CARICOM that she's going to raise. So I don't see the public being angry with her if she comes out the winner or being upset with her. But like I said, the impact of these things are generally felt. You hear public opinion nationally, you hear public opinion regionally, okay? And how does that impact? It would impact in an election. In my opinion, all politics are domestic. So we would want to see now how this would impact on the local government election, which is coming. And in the next 4 years, we'll have a general. Other than that, she does what she has to do, and you analyze the impact through these elections.
Coming up after the break, as the murder toll crosses 100 for the year, is the government failing on crime?
I think they're working on crime and they're realizing it is much more challenging than they would have expected. Like I said, this is a you know, multifaceted problem.
Welcome to Holiday Inn Express and Suites.
Do enjoy stay, sir. You want some coffee?
Can I have a bit?
Perfect, then.
That's exactly what we need.
Hi, the pool is this way.
Whatever you're here for, we're here for you. Stay smart at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites.
Step into ABC Doors and Windows, where quality meets variety. Discover premium wooden, steel panel, fiberglass, and steel security doors alongside aluminum, UPVC, and steel windows designed for strength and durability. At ABC, we're always a better choice, delivering products built to last and service you can rely on. Visit our showroom at 1 Chancotrace, El Socorro South, or call 638-7184 to make your dream home a reality.
Make sure you have yourself a great investment week by viewing The Boss Report every Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. during CNC3's The Morning Brew. You'll get sound financial advice, whether you're a new or experienced investor, when you view The Boss Report. CNC3, covering your world.
For me, people matter most. It's the same if you hail from Moruga, where I'm from, Mount Irvin, Scarborough, or Port of Spain. As a journalist, I'm focused on building that connection between Trinidad, the region, and the world. Most importantly, I want always to use my voice as a powerful weapon to break down barriers wherever they exist. This is why we are where you are.
Mr. Brown, her foreign policy and her regional policy stances, do you think that will have an impact in the local government elections for the UNC?
I don't know. I suspect not, but I don't know. But I would put it this way, from the economist perspective. We are less interested by what happens in terms of the election, but by what happens in terms of the economic decisions that happen. And the importance of CARICOM, as well as the wider world, has to do with effectively whether we are able to get the economy to grow. And at the end of the day, the fundamental issue with regard to elections is about the economy, whether people are doing well, whether they feel it in their pocket or not. So that you'll have to judge the outcome of foreign policy issues in terms of how well they help your economy to grow. And in this particular instance, the issue is, for us, Trinidad and Tobago, the weakness is related to the energy sector. If you want a quick mobilization of the economy, what you have to do is to adjust it on the energy side. We know that the long-term rate of decline, the secular decline, is taking place in natural gas. So if we look at the last 5 years, you'll get little movements, 1 or 2% movements, but nothing that is up, generally speaking, down. So if the only way that you can get something to take place is really how do we get additional gas? And that's a positive in Shell negotiating with Venezuela for additional gas. Trinidad and Tobago's gas reserves proven probable approximately 12 trillion TCF. If you could get the second side of Loran, that's 7.6. If you could get Cucina, that's another 1.x. Right? So talking about, so that basically will carry your reserves to somewhere in the region of 16 trillion, which puts us back to where we were in 2008.
Right. Those things, though, are to come. I want to get to some more immediate priorities of the government. Crime. Crime continues to be, the Prime Minister ran on fixing crime, particularly within the first year of her administration. 100 murders have happened since the start of 2026. Is the government, despite the numbers being marginal, a marginal drop, it's not a huge drop in crime, in homicides, I should rather say, is the government failing on crime?
I think they're working on crime and they're realizing it is much more challenging than they would have expected. Like I said, this is a multifaceted problem and requires a multi-sectoral approach to solutions. So they've tried, but like some of these things are systemic. You see that drug problem and the trade in arms and ammunition. While setting up all these border controls, they've had the assistance of the United States. It's because our borders are so porous and because of our geopolitical location, strategic location. And this is the statement she was making in CARICOM. You don't have the problems we have because of where we are located, the proximity to Venezuela, okay, the influx of immigrants, the influx of illegal immigrants through the Southwestern Peninsula in particular, and it's bringing in drugs with it as well.
Dr. Rampersad, did the Stand Your Ground legislation fail? Well, it was passed.
It was passed, but
has it failed the country?
But has it really been totally implemented? Because I'm not sure people are still accessing the firearms. I'm not sure yet.
So that part of the legislation where we now make firearms more accessible to the average citizen, that's where we're...
Right, that's where I think we are, but you can't just get one like that. There's a procedure. You have to fill out a form. You have to get police character report. There's a lot of things you have to do. So I think it is in the pipeline. But they're also being careful of how they do this because we know some of the criticisms that came with it, some of the challenges that would come with it in putting firearms in the hands of any citizen. So they have to vet this and they have to work it out. So to say that it's failed, I'm not sure it's been implemented fully enough to analyze or assess whether it's pass or fail. I support the legislation because I believe that innocent citizens should have the capacity to protect themselves in their private environment. I understand all the concerns that were raised, but I do think that, when you're faced with a gun and you don't have one, you're at a disadvantage. So that is one measure I will support. It's left to be seen how it's going to be implemented and how it's going to work. We know that some citizens who had licensed firearms have used it to their benefit and managed to save their lives and that of their family. That's a minority. And I don't think those firearms were given as a result of this policy. They would have had that before, a lot of them being business persons. But the crime continues, I agree. There's been a drop in homicide rate, but the crime continues, and it is a concern of the citizens. We had a spate of it over this weekend, and it's also a concern of the government. So I think this is something they're looking at.
Dr. Bisram, Kamla Persad-Bissessa's alliance with the Donald Trump administration really one of the foundation blocks of that alliance was to deal with, as Dr. Rampersad said, the narco trafficking that we have in this part of the world, and crime as well. Given that crime is still so much of a frontal issue, well, actually the frontal issue for the UNC government as we speak, will the Prime Minister be concerned that her alliance with Donald Trump didn't yield the results that she had hoped?
You know, results are not achieved overnight. It takes time. And I believe that Donald Trump will deliver, Marco Rubio will deliver, Christine Noemi will deliver. It just will require some more effort on behalf of the government. And I think the government will go ahead with that close relationship with Donald Trump and the United States government. Now, both participants, panelists are right in the sense that foreign policy is not a big issue in elections or in domestic politics. And Mariano Brown, the former minister, is also accurate in that the economy matters a lot. So the central issues really now that are challenges for the government are the economy and crime. Now, there has been an uptick in crime in the last couple of weeks, but generally speaking, the first several months, the government was the public was very, very pleased with the handling of both the crime and the economy. Now, of course, there are still many, many challenges with the economy. People are crying out for jobs. Up until a few days ago, I was there. In fact, up until yesterday, I was there. The major concern has been the economy and crime. But I believe a number of economic projects are in the pipeline for later this year as well as next year. At least that's what I'm finding out from some of the stakeholders in government. And I believe there will be a turnaround in the economy, and I do believe that it will take some more time for the government to get a full handle on crime.
Mr. Brown, has the administration demonstrated clear policy direction in its first year?
With regard to the economy, with regard to other matters?
Well, let's have a broad, holistic answer to it. Crime, the economy, as you mentioned, the energy sector.
All right. Well, the answer with regard to crime is, I think, no. And the fundamental issue is that the state of emergency is a policy measure that is only implemented for a particular period of time. But it has to be done and has to be buttressed by police in action. That's not in position, I don't think. And that's one of the reasons why you're getting the type of pushback, and people have gotten accustomed to it, including the criminals.
You kind of become immune to it.
Yeah, they're immune to it. So another state of emergency that doesn't really make a huge amount of difference. We lock up some people for a particular period of time, and then we let them out. And then what happens again after that? So I don't think there's a technique, as a methodology that's going to achieve what we want. And I agree with the points that this is going to take time. I want to mention something else too. We've always had a strong relationship with North America with respect to policing and policy measures from that perspective. But our best actions for support in terms of handling specific measures, for example, handling of kidnapping, which has now become back into a feature, had nothing to do with American help. Had to do with help that came from Latin America, Colombia in particular. Right, so that we focusing on the North American method, North America in terms of what they're doing, but also missing the other areas that could be of critical importance to how we manage the crime situation, because they have a lot more in common with us in terms of dealing with some of those issues than we have with North America. North America is drug usage as well as distribution. Right? In the case of Colombia, we're really talking about, for example, drug distribution and transshipment. Those are critical issues. So I think that we undervalue the relationship with other countries that could be of benefit to us in terms of focusing on the relationship with North America.
Let's also talk about the Prime Minister herself. Very early on, Dr. Rampersad, in her second time as Prime Minister of this country, many commentators labeled her, quote, Kamala 2.0. What differences have you seen from the Kamala of 2010?
Well, she herself called herself Kamala 2.0. One, she is not afraid to deal with the strongmen in her party. So she's come across now as an iron woman. Some people have been comparing her to Margaret Thatcher. she's not afraid of anyone or anything, whether it's local, regional, or international. She says what she has to say. She's straightforward. She's outright. Some see it as undiplomatic, but she says what she has to say. And what you see is what you get. I mean, she even threatened to cuff down some of her ministers. I mean, some people find that language unbecoming of a prime minister. But basically, she was sending a message to them, that, if you get involved in corrupt activities or, untoward any misconduct, you will be dealt with. So I think what we're seeing is a much, much stronger prime minister, and that may account for no scandals in the first year. No real major scandals in the first year have come out of the UNC as did with the partnership, because they have to listen. They have to listen. They have to behave themselves.
Do
they
you
have to do their
support such
work.
a big cabinet? That's been one of the criticisms.
Yes, but
1.5 million people.
I think the cost will be a concern. The cost of a big cabinet is always concern to the citizens. I don't know if it is because there were so many people involved. Some people say jobs for the boys, but I agree with the splitting of the portfolio of the Minister of National Security, which is now Minister of Homeland Security and Minister of Defense, because I think the multiple dimensions of this crime problem and the scope of it, the seriousness of it, required two ministers. She also split the Ministry of Education, and I have to tell you that is a huge ministry and very difficult for one minister to deal with. Just the amount of secondary and primary schools. I mean, this is my area of expertise, education. Just the number of secondary and primary schools, and then for a minister to deal with all the tertiary institutions at the same time was difficult. So that was there before in her partnership government, the two ministers for education. That one I also support.
Coming up after the break, what should be the key priorities for Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar as she enters her second year?
At Cruise Inn Hotel and Yachting Center, we're all about time. In fact, once you check in, there's no time to lose. Reconnect with a little family time. Make a splash with some pool time. Spend some treasured quality time, or just immerse yourself in some quiet time. Indulge your senses at dinner time. We even have the perfect venue when it's your celebration time. So it's high time you visit Cruise Inn. Choose our day pass or call 607-4000 to make your dinner or hotel reservations, or to find out more about our event spaces. Take a time out at Cruise Inn Hotel and Yachting Center.
Step into ABC Doors and Windows, where quality meets variety. Discover premium wooden, steel panel, fiberglass, and steel security doors alongside aluminum, UPVC, and steel windows designed for strength and durability. At ABC, we're always a better choice, delivering products built to last and service you can rely on. Visit our showroom at 1 Chanka Trace, El Socorro South, or call 638-7184 to make your dream home a reality.
The gripping crime series Suspects comes to your screen. Follow D.I. Martha Bellamy, D.S. Jack Weston, and D.S. Charlie Steele as they investigate crimes across the busy London landscape. Suspects takes you inside the Metropolitan Police as they fight for justice in London. Don't miss Suspects, only on CNC3.
Mr. Brown, Dr. Rampersad mentioned about how the Prime Minister herself has spoken to some of her own cabinet colleagues. Communication, she continues to be criticized, particularly by the opposition, for her communication. She hasn't appeared at very many post-cabinet media briefings. She does most of her communication via social media or email. Do you think that she has communicated with the country in an effective way as Prime Minister?
Well, social media is increasingly an acceptable form of communication at political levels if we have to look at other countries.
But it's also one in which you can distract from questions.
Correct. Right. In fact, you're not subject to the rigor.
You don't have to read the comments.
Correct.
You don't have to read your messages.
Yeah, right. So there's an advantage in doing that from a political perspective. I have to agree that she certainly has come across as being stronger, and that's certainly the impression that she wants to portray. But from the point of view of effective governance, you always have to ask the question, question. Is it achieving the policy effect that you want? Those things happening. So from the announcement effect, I would say that they've done a number of things, for example, which sound as though we're addressing the situation or we're meeting our campaign promises. All right. So one of them was, for example, pensions, which came a lot later. What is the effective reality in terms of what difference it will make? But it sounds great. All right. Same way, settling the union issues. That sounds possible. That sounds good. But the real issue is, can we meet it? Can we make it? Can we pay it?
Mr. Brown, we got to a settled. We got to a settled. Yeah. We got to a settled. So it was agreed upon with the last government. The agreement was signed. I'm the president of
I'm aware.
Okay. So we signed the agreement in 2025 under the last administration. When this government came in and paid. The trade union, the PSA, Public Service Association, I think it's a two-tiered system, and I think they have received some of it already. So that they are receiving NUGFW, that's a smaller union. Yes. The big problem was the PSA, that was $3.8 billion.
3.8?
We got was just like, 180 million.
Well, that's right, so it's easy to deal with you.
Yeah.
All right, and the bigger ones are the ones where I'm talking about, certainly, for example, the unions, the teachers, for example, who still
no, but they got up to a point,
But that's the point I'm making. When you make agreement with me, I don't want to be up to a point. The point is that you have agreed.
That's in the agreement.
You have to pay me.
That's in the agreement.
So why are the campaign trail?
No, but that's in the agreement, a phased payment.
Right. Well, so the point I'm making here, and I don't think there's a phased payment in the PSA agreement, is there?
Yeah, they mentioned something about 2 tranches. Somewhere I read it that they would. So
but they haven't met them.
Right, they have paid some.
They have paid some, but not necessarily in accordance with the agreement.
They have agreed to that.
So it's going to be done in a tranche, and it's not only going to be done all at once.
Mariano, we weren't getting anything. We were getting 0, 0, 0, and
no, you were getting agreements.
But more than that, Mr. Brown, the rhetoric by which did the rhetoric of Kamla Persad-Bissessar in her first year in the second term surprise you? Kill them all violently. The way that she has addressed sometimes her own colleagues in Parliament. Did that surprise you the way that the Prime Minister would have?
From the point of view of political communication, no, because it distracts from the evidence. What is the implementation on the ground? Is that working? And you were talking just now about the effect of crime and the fact that it is raised up again. So it settles. It's politically sound. It's good communication. It gets me on side. This is what I want to see happen. It tells me that there's intent. Right? The practical implication is, what is the action? Is it successful?
Yeah. Right? But did the Prime Minister, in the way that she has communicated, including the rhetoric, do you feel she's moved us into that realm of what we have been seeing geopolitically with the rise of right-wing governments?
Well, yes, the answer to that is yes. It falls right into that particular perspective. And you will find, and certainly if you're speaking to a base, and this is what the base wants to hear and wants to see, then you'd have achieved your objective. You've gotten people on side.
All politics are domestic.
That's I accept that. Right? And I said that's the objective of the communication, is to achieve this objective.
I think it might have even surprised her base a little bit. I want to bring in Dr. Bisram. Dr. Bisram, were you surprised by some of the things that the Prime Minister and the manner in which, the rhetoric in which she would have spoken about certain topics over the last year?
No, because the people liked it, and she's feeding her base, as Mariana Brown pointed out. Look, the Prime Minister is very, very different. Kamla 2.2 is very different from Kamla 1.0. And any analyst that you have spoken with, the public you have spoken with, said this woman is far more serious now than she was in her first term. She has been tough, aggressive. She speaks her mind very, very clearly. And she has sent out the message to her cabinet that this is what I expect. If you deviate from it, you have to pay the price. And the public loves that.
Feel that she has been strong enough and strict enough with her cabinet?
Yes, I don't think she can be stricter, but not only with her cabinet. It's not only domestic. It's also regionally with her CARICOM counterparts and internationally. She's been making these very strong and bold statements. But Ryan, as a political scientist and who's been following politics for so many decades, nothing surprises me. This is strategy. This is also political strategy. She's making a point. She's making, don't mess with me. I'm serious dossier. I'm here to deal with certain issues. Now, to analyze whether she's dealt with them or not in a year is a different question. But I'm here to deal with this. We have work to do, get on the ground running. And I'm sure behind closed doors, ministers are being chastised if they are seen as not doing what they have to do, with cabinet colleagues. So I'm not surprised, because like I said, nothing surprises me. I just sit back and look on and analyze. But I think this is deliberate strategy on her part. She herself said this is Kamala 2.0, and Kamala 2.0 is not Kamala 1.0.
I'm going to go around the table only because time might be against us, but I do want to get your perspectives each on this. If you had to say what was Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessa's biggest success in the first year and maybe biggest failure or biggest challenge, what would that be?
Oh, you put me on the spot there. So biggest success is that she's managed to keep her cabinet together.
Without a reshuffle.
Right, without major reshuffle. She's also avoided serious scandals. I think she's making a mark in the international arena, Shield of the Americas, CARICOM, right, as well as in domestic arena, as emerging as perhaps one of the strongest leaders we've ever had, and many women are very proud of that. That a female prime minister is the one that is emerging so strong, even stronger than the indomitable Bazwe Pandey.
Her biggest challenge or failure?
Her biggest challenge, I think, is money. I think she came in, she met an economy in dire straits, and finding the money to deal with the problems, the energy crisis. We do have a crisis in energy. She's trying to deal with that through deep water exploration with Exxon. Foreign exchange is dependent on revenue. Foreign exchange is dependent on revenue earnings from abroad, and so it is impacting still on foreign exchange, and we still have a crisis. So I think money is her problem, and she has to try to generate enough revenue to deal with the foreign exchange crisis. Unemployment, we still have a crisis there with unemployment situation, but hopefully in the medium term, because I would still see the first year as a short run, the short term, difficult to deal with all these problems, and of course crime, the systemic dimension in particular, which is still impacting.
Mr. Brown.
Well, governments really have 2 years in which to make a difference, and the next 3 is to really address the next election. So you'll have to weight your efforts in your first 2 years, particularly in year 1. Now, they've not been able to do anything with regard to economy in the first instance, and there are a lot of stuff that came up with regard to, I think the point has been subsumed under the heading of cash flow money. All right, and the reality is the economic performance is really what's going to determine what's going to happen in the future, and that's the biggest one. And that has a foreign policy consideration. The events in the Middle East are going to affect our CARICOM neighbors. They are, as long as this war continues and no peace is settled, is going to have an effect on all of the economies. And that has implications for the non-energy manufacturing sector, and the non-energy sector in particular, which provided the sort of impetus for 2024. It hasn't done it in 2025, hasn't done it in 2026. So you can see a slowing down. And that's in position. So your relationship with CARICOM becomes important under that particular heading. Similarly, access to Venezuela and Venezuela gas, that's particularly important to us. The signs are not propitious. Notwithstanding that Maduro may be out of the picture, the rest of the regime remains in place. There's nothing America has done differently in sense of where Venezuela is positioned at this stage of the game. So even if we have a strong relationship there, we still have some things to work out. So the issue still remains, what is economic performance going to be like? Foreign exchange is still an issue. There are whole other sets of issues that follows with regard to the investment climate, and crime is an issue and a drag on that particular area.
I'm running out of time, but quickly, what would you think the Prime Minister would be happiest with what she's achieved in the first year?
I don't know. I can't speak for her, but certainly from the point of your own personal satisfaction, I would think that she's been able to survive the first year, to send a very powerful message in terms of her positioning, in terms of who she is and what she is. And I think she'd be happiest with that.
Dr. Bisram, I want to bring you in, but sort of change the question only because I'm running out of time. And that question is, what should be the key priorities for Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessa as she enters her second year?
She must be able to bring revenues in through energy projects, and I believe she will get those running very, very soon. In terms of challenges she faced, people have complained repeatedly about the lack of implementation on the Stand Your Ground legislation. I think if she's able to get that going, that will bring some level of comfort to people who are worried about crime. Our other success really is being very frank and honest with the population about the state of the economy and speaking her mind. People like the idea that you have a prime minister who is being very honest and truthful in saying what she believes in.
Dr. Bisram, thank you very much for joining us. Dr. Rampersad, Mr. Brown, appreciate you all making the time to come on and analyse the Prime Minister, Kamla Persad-Bissessa's UNC government's first year in office. And thank you very much. Have a good night.
You're watching CNC3.
Love and desire.
Él solo enamoraba con mentiras. No sé si era real o si fingía. Su vida era robada, no era suya. Y yo en un cuarto oscuro y sin salida. Así fue que el amor una trampa me jugaba. Aposté y perdí, ya no me quedaba nada. Me enredé en su juego de ambición. En un instante el fuego se apagó. Y tú llegaste cuando menos lo esperaba, tan incrédula y sin alma. Y yo volví a creer en alguien de la nada. Sus recuerdos me llamaban. La ilusión del amor me hizo regresar a mi corazón. Ya sanó cuando te reconocí. No eres lo que yo me imaginaba, pero aquí me siento en casa. Me siento en casa.
That's why he's defying anyone and everyone. I mean, isn't he aware that they're playing with him?
I already asked Alan to do something that would open Alejandra's eyes.
And? What did he tell you?
He won't do it. He doesn't want to meddle.
Gold digger shouldn't get one over us, Vanessa.
I agree, but what can we do?
Well, if it's not possible for us to change Alejandra's mind about her, then we'll have to take her out of the picture.
Hang on. What exactly do you mean by telling me that we're getting her out of the picture?
Well, she has to understand why she needs to go back to wherever it is that she came from. Or else there will be consequences.
Yes. You know what? You're absolutely right. Those types of people will only learn the hard way.
That woman has already taken what matters most to me, so I'm under no obligation to show any consideration for her.
I see what she's trying to do. It's to drive us crazy so she can continue to play the victim in Alejandra's eyes.
Yes, and it makes my blood boil every time I see everything that's happening because of her.
She's just a nobody. I can assure you that she'll eventually slip up and show Alejandro that he made a terrible mistake in choosing her over you.
Well, I just hope it happens soon because I'm getting tired and my patience is wearing thin.
Oh, come on now. Well, then I should get going, but let's keep in touch, okay? Thank you for the dinner, our chat, and everything else. I love you.
I love you.
Get plenty of rest.
You too. Take care, okay?
Does that mean that you already have a job now?
Yes, I do. Well, at least you have a job, because some people shamelessly can't hold on to theirs.
Oh, my God!
Is something wrong, Dad?
Nothing at all, sweetie. I was just checking to make sure your mother's hurtful words towards me didn't do any damage. Well, no blood, so I guess no foul. I'm so happy to hear you got the job, my darling. You don't know how proud I am of you.
Are you saying I'm not proud of my daughter?
It sure doesn't look like it.
Your face only looks so angry and so sad the entire night.
My face has nothing to do with you not having a
this
job.
Is about me not having a job.
All I'm saying is that there are people who don't know what it means to work hard.
It's terrible, yes. There are people like that all around the world. Fortunately, I'm not one of them. Be careful out there, my dear. Stay humble because you'll most likely run into women who think that all because they have a job, they can bully others into submission.
I have never bullied anyone.
Ah, I see. The shoe fits, does it? It's a good thing that our daughter didn't inherit your resentfulness.
It's also a good thing she didn't inherit your laziness.
Well then, we must have done something right. We gotta acknowledge that at least.
At least that worked out.
Oh, stop it! I can't believe you two still have the energy to fight each other. Honestly, I think you only do it because deep down you still love each other.
What? Oh, darling, you've lost your mind.
So glad that you brought up divorce. Now I can just pay up and finally get away from your craziness once and for all.
What? Oh, please give me a break. You need money for divorce, which you don't have because you're a lazy and unemployed drunk.
Really? What about you?
You're a freeloader.
What are you?
What do you mean?
Oh,
At least I know how to work, unlike you who's never
you
done so. Now you're going to act as if you're offended.
Mom, after what happened, I've decided it would be best for Eduardo to move out of the mansion.
No.
What he did was so reckless, and he threatened us with a gun.
You have to understand where he's coming from. Things escalated and just got out of control. Eduardo isn't capable of doing something like that. You must know this by now. He's your brother. It was just an accident, son. I beg you. I beg you, please don't throw Eduardo out of the mansion. Your brother has nowhere else to go.
There is something else, Mother. Eduardo's been taking money from the company without any of us knowing.
What? No, I don't understand.
He stole the money.
No. No, son, that must be some sort of mistake.
Unfortunately, it isn't. That's why it would be best for him to be away for now. He put you in harm's way today, Mom.
I know that you two have a lot of differences, but then he is not a bad person, dear. He would never try to hurt us. Alejandro, please. I already told you that was just an accident.
I'm sorry, Mom. There are boundaries, and it's never too late to uphold them.
The thing is, none of this would have happened if it weren't for Sophia. Sophia seems to bring out the worst in both of you.
Darling, why are you still so worried?
Oh, Dad, how can I not worry? I don't know what's going to happen next. This house doesn't seem to run out of problems.
But understand, Sophia, neither of us caused any of those problems.
To a certain extent, we did. Mrs. Lucia is hurt because of a problem I sort of brought up. I think we should just leave right away.
Listen here, sis. You just told us yourself that Alejandro doesn't want you to feel responsible or to do something you'll deeply regret later on.
Your sister is right about this, Sophia. Alejandro is offering you his support.
Besides, he does own this mansion.
No, Rebecca. All of this is owned by his family. It's not just his.
Yeah, right, whatever. It's the same thing. I'm having the time of my life here in Los Cabos.
Oh, yes, me too.
Oh, Dad.
But of course, I'll support whatever you want. All I want is the best for you, sweetie.
I don't know what you're so afraid of, Sophia. Eduardo isn't a threat to us anymore. You can move around the house without fear of running into him.
Rebecca, a reminder.